everyone. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. I am welcoming everyone for our conversation. Tonight is the episode number 27 while we are waiting for Bisila to join us, and for some of you who have not listened to some of my other episodes, please feel free to connect to any of them. They're all on my IG events by Olga, as well as on YouTube under Conversations with Olga. And I have amazing people whom I was lucky to join. Welcoming Bisila just in a second. She's connecting to us. Hi, Kisa.
Hello. How are you?
Hi, gorgeous. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
I'm so happy to see you. You look
Same here.
so beautiful. 8 o'clock in the morning, and look at you.
Thank you so much.
You must be jet lagged because that's why you're probably still in a different town.
I'm completely in a different time. For me, I got up this morning at 4:30, so yes.
There you go. Yes. Well, Bisila, thank you so much. It's really a pleasure and an honor to have you with me tonight. And I know that your schedule is so super tight, but really, thank you very much. So the way we're going to do it, I know you and me are, we're just chatting as friends do. I will just say a few words about you, just a short biography of you to present you, and then we'll just move on with just a conversation on so many different and interesting subjects that I want to introduce to our listeners and to learn.
Beautiful. Yeah, I'm excited.
Okay, wonderful. So I think we should start, and I will welcome everyone. Everyone welcomes again to IGTV Conversations with Olga series that I've started during the circuit breaker. It's my passion project, and up to now already have 27 episodes. With tonight is episode number 27. It's a series fostering intellectual and cultural exchange between people from all over the world. I'm very fortunate to get to meet these people throughout my career and in my life, and I'm very, very happy to share these wonderful conversations with all of you. And my main mission is to create this personal connection with us all together here, and to cultivate a more diverse and inclusive community. So once again, it's my honor to welcome our guest for tonight, beautiful Bisila Bokoko. I will say a few words about you, Bisila, and I will just make sure that I don't make any mistakes with regards to some of the abbreviations, and then we'll move forward, okay?
Okay, beautiful.
Bisila Bokoko is considered one of the 10 most influential Spanish women in American business. Former director of the Spain-US Chamber of Commerce in New York, CEO of BBES International, and founder of BBLP African Literacy Project, whose mission is to promote literacy among African people. And of course, we'll talk about it in our conversation later on. Bisila, besides that, she has this incredible, beautiful, fun, and indulging project. She has created a collection of wines called Bisila Wines, made in Spain, which has received international recognition. Since 2010, she has worked closely with UNCTAD with EmperTech program, supporting emerging entrepreneurs from all parts of the world. Recently, Bisila been awarded by UN Hospitality Committee with the 2019 Citizen of the World Award, and she is the recipient of the 2019 International Award by the Spanish Federation of Women Managers, Executives, Professionals, and Entrepreneurs. She has also been awarded by Ideal Women Organization in Equatorial Guinea, the Entrepreneur of the Year Award by Women Work, Inspiring Leader Award by the University of New York, NYU. I graduated with my graduate degree from NYU, by the way, among others amazing achievements and awards in her career. So here you go. Bisila, I think we should definitely start with your upbringing because it takes us all over the world and to the most amazing parts of it. So obviously Africa is very dear to your heart, and you just spent 3 weeks in Kenya. That's
Yes.
why, as I mentioned before, you must be jet lagged.
Still are.
But you were born in Valencia, Spain, while your parents are African. Your family roots stem from the Bibi tribe and from the Bibi tribe, right?
Yes, Bibi tribe, yes.
Yes, Equatorial Guinea. And you're currently an American citizen who been living in New York for over 15 years. You're very much of a hybrid of so many different cultures. Tell us about your roots and, of course, your family and Equatorial Guinea as well.
Well, both my parents come from Equatorial Guinea. They were born in Malabo, which is the capital of Equatorial Guinea, the part that is in the island. And they came very young because my mother was 14 years old when she came to Spain, and my father was around 17 years old. So obviously they make more part of their lives in Spain than in Equatorial Guinea, but they were very conscious about me don't forgetting where I'm coming from and from my roots. And they just try to figure out ways for me to connect with my traditions and parts of the continent. And I was very lucky because when I was a teenager or preteen, my grandparents moved to Spain. And then is when I really had the opportunity to really dive into the culture, because my grandparents really were making a point that it was important. That it's good to know where you're going, but it's also very important where you're coming from.
Exactly. So I believe that the traditions in African culture were very much part of your growing up, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And I got to understand a little bit of the traditions, also the way they think. It was sometimes in contradiction with the Western culture. And this sometimes for me was confusing, like a little kid, because I remember my grandmother said one day to my father, why do you raise these kids like they were white? They're not white. And then suddenly she said, she don't know how to cook. She don't know how to do things in the house. She needs to come to me. And I remember she kind of kidnapped me for a whole summer and teach me to do everything that a housewife apparently should know. And for her, it was important that, yes, it's great that you study, it's great that you have education, but you also need to be a wife and a mother. So this was very important. And I'm so glad that I had the opportunity also to learn that. And also the language. I'm not fluent in Bubi, but I understand the language perfectly. And of course, the traditions of the food too.
Of course, yes, which we'll talk about it in a little bit, for sure. When was the first time you came to Africa?
Well, the first time I came to Africa, I was 35 years old. That was my gift, my own birthday gift to myself, was to visit Africa. And I visited Ghana. I didn't visit Equatorial Guinea, the first country, for one reason, because my husband only spoke English. And I said, I don't want to be a translator the first time I go to Africa. So it's better that we go to a country that we both speak the language. And that was the reason why we ended up going to Ghana. And it was such an amazing experience, because the first thing to me was I got to the airport and I said, wow, everybody's African, everybody's Black for the first time in my life. I'm in a place that everyone looks like me. And that was a cultural shock for me, because I was always in the opposite side. I grew up in Spain, being the only Black everywhere where I was. And then when I came to America and United States, New York particularly, so diverse that you see people from all kind of backgrounds.
Exactly. How was it? How did you feel emotionally when you just arrived, when you just stepped into the grounds of Africa? What did you experience?
Well, it was shocking to me. It was incredible to be back in the motherland, and also because I traveled so many times to the motherland through books. For me, was like, wow, it's just all I have been reading all these years, and now I'm just living it. But for
Yes.
me, the most important thing was when I connect with the people, because I remember, like tourists at that moment, we have a huge schedule of looking at different things. And I spoke with the tourist guide and I said, you know what? I really want to connect with the people, take me to the people. And then when I
Yeah.
went to the rural areas, is when I realized that I could be any of that kids. The only difference between me and those
Yeah.
kids was that I had access to education and I was able to
Yeah.
make a choice in my life. But a lot of the children were not able to go to
Yes.
school. Some of them start working. They were 6, 7 years old and they are selling in a market because they have no opportunity to do otherwise. So it was also bittersweet feeling, because I also realized that the development that it was there, it was kind of a stop in time. And that also raised my interest to do something. So it
Yes.
changed me.
I can imagine. You have achieved so many milestones and along your career in so many different completely areas, different industries. What did young Bisila imagine herself when she was growing up?
Well, I mean, I just imagine myself having a job that pays the bills, because, like a lot of immigrants, I was looking for safety. So I didn't have these big dreams, but I think that my father really installed in me the belief that I could achieve anything. And he said, "You could be anything, but don't be mediocre. I mean, you just have to. You're gonna be average." So
Very
because
profound.
they don't allow me to be average. I had always to be on the top of my game in school. In everything that I do, I have to be excellent, because that's
Yes.
the way that was what was expected from me. Being an exception in a country that I was kind of diverse. That was the kind of diversity at that moment. So I think that I did not have these big dreams when I was a little kid, because I also wanted to be in the comfort zone and I wanted to be normal like any other kid. But I
Yes.
think as I was growing up, I realized that dreams could make a difference, and they could. And if you think big and if you dream big, then your life could become big too. So that,
Absolutely.
that
That's
was
one
the
of my
key.
mottos. Dream big. Absolutely. And you did. I would like to move. You mentioned education, and this is a big part of your life and a big part of what I would like to talk to you about. And of course, and your education is very diverse, and you have achieved a lot. You attended Universidad San Pablo in Valencia, in Spain, where you earned an MBA in business administration and economics in 1998. And the same year, I believe, you earned a certificate of British law at the University of Manchester and completed an MA in International Relations in the City College of New York in 2003. So you obviously very studious. You are a scholar, I should say, and it shows that education is of a great importance, obviously, for you. And we will talk about your project, amazing project, BBLP, which is Bisila Bokoko African Literacy Project, a non-profit organization headquartered in New York City that you have founded in 2009. But first of all, I would like to ask you about your personal thoughts on not only on the importance of education, but on the importance of diverse education in particular. What?
Well, when I was a little kid and I was about 8 years old, I remember that I just used to collect these fashion magazines and gossip magazines and
Yes, as
everything.
we do at that age.
And one day my father just burned everything and said, "Now you're going to read serious books." And he wanted to know what kind of the readings I had in the school. And then I started to read philosophy, sociology, a lot of things about Pan-Africanism, politics. And I was really 90 years old and I could not understand anything. I
Incredible.
read the Bhagavad Gita when I was 11 years old. And I remember I told my father, I don't understand anything. Or I read a lot of books about meditation and deep East beliefs. And on all that, and my father said, it doesn't matter because it's going to stick in some part of your brain. And one day it will come useful of these books.
Yes, yes.
So it was not enough the education that I was given in the school. So I had to definitely widen my frontiers, my horizons to understand different things. And because from my family perspective, the education that they were giving me, it would not serve me also to understand who I was in the world. I needed to really understand what is to be an Afro-European, because I was born in Europe and I was African. It's not the same experience that to be an African American and be an Afro-Caribbean or be an African in the continent. So my parents really make an effort that I understand what that means for me. And also they thought that the classics and philosophy, it was deep important in my upbringing. So I spent hours reading Socrates and Plato and all of the philosophy, and also the East philosophy. So I think that for the education, it's very important to have a very diverse education, because
Absolutely.
it's going to give you the tools to move in the world in the way that you need to move. Because the world is diverse no matter what, right?
Exactly. I completely agree with you. For me, to have and develop a curiosity to learn, to explore and to diversify the areas of knowledge and skills is one of the most important, I think, elements of life. And it's a foundation that is given to you and that you have to embrace, that will take you in so many different, that could take you in so many different directions. So it's amazing. On your opinion, what have been partially neglected, I should say, in the education process for children, or even for adults for this matter, in our time?
Well, I think that the education that we provide in the kids right now, it's from the 19th century. So in reality, we're not giving them tools that they need to move into the current world with technology. I've been traveling extensively, and in some countries, the access to technology is still very limited. And also, I think that the kids need to explore different parts, and also personal development. I wish that I had access to personal development when I was studying, because I put so much subjects in my mind, but I didn't know how to handle myself like a human being. So I think it will be essential for the current generations to be able to really understand themselves, because if you know yourself, is so much better. So personal development, I think that is a part that is missing in our education. And yes, you have so many access to information. You put a lot of information in your mind, but you don't understand your own self. So I think this is something that it will be complete if we have this opportunity to integrate in our systems different areas, and also to have access to what is the new life that they're going to have. Because right now with robotics, with technology and everything, children has to be exposed to different languages that even us, we kind of limited to understand.
Yes. And you're absolutely right. And I think to learn and to find the way how to be able to converse in different situations, which it comes from also as well, I think, from personal development and from some of the philosophies that perhaps are not learned to an extent, that gives us an easier way to socialize with people around us and to be more of an interesting conversationalist during the dinner parties or during the any kind of a gatherings. I think it makes a huge difference, on my opinion. And now it brings me, of course, to the subject of huge importance to you that is also obviously related to education. It's your philanthropic work. And as I have mentioned earlier in your introduction, in 2009, you founded the Bisila Bokoko African Literacy Project. It's a non-profit organization headquartered in New York, with current presence in Ghana, Kenya, Zimbabwe, and Uganda. The organization is committed to promoting literacy across continents through the opening of libraries. And the motto is, with a book, you're never alone. I love this motto. I grew up in a family with a very big library. And for me to be surrounded by books, even though I might have not been reading them at the time or haven't read them all, but it was definitely felt that I'm among friends, and it gave me the comfort. So I totally love it. What initiated the idea for you to create this library learning project in Africa?
Well, it's the craziest story I could tell you, because honestly, I was never a philanthropist or thinking that I would be helping people. I have to be honest with you, that never crossed my mind, because obviously, because of my upbringing, I was more thinking about to build wealth for me and my family, not to share at that point. But Africa really changed my life when I went there for the first time when I was 35 years old. And I remember that one of the days that we were touring around close to Kumasi, the tourist guide that was with us, he got a call on the phone and say, then he told us, you know what, we need to go to see the chief of Kokofu. Kokofu is a very small village close to Kumasi, about 30 minutes from Kumasi, which is one of the main cities in Ghana. And he said, because the chief, somebody saw my car, and it's a lack of respect not go and visit the chief. The chief is like kind of the king of this village. So we arrived there, and the king is in let's say in a meeting with other people discussing the issues of the week. And then suddenly he came to speak with us, and he asked where are we from and everything. And then he said, you know what? You're gonna be the queen of development of Kokofu. And the only word that I heard at that moment was queen.
Queen.
Yeah.
I thought so.
So because I always been fascinated with royals, I said, yes, this is perfect for me. But the thing is that after my ego moment, I said, okay, but how could I help you? I mean, I would like to know, how could I be of service? And then he said, just in 3 days, you will call me and you will know exactly what to do. For now, I'm going to give you a piece of land. This piece of land is yours, and you could do whatever you want. And we want you to feel home. Anytime you want, you could come back home. And this was now
incredible story.
And 3 days later, I just had an aha moment, and I said, you know what? I knew Africa through books before coming to Africa. So if I put a library, a lot of children will be able to look at the world from this library too. So this is how the idea came. I called him and he said, yes, perfect. And I started to do the project. I came back to New York, and I was just having lunch with my lawyer, and I told him the story. He said, you know what? I would make the foundation for you. This would be my donation. And then all my friends and people start helping me. People came along the way. Even someone from the Bronx library helped me. And she was the one who went to Ghana with me and cataloged all the books and helped me, because I was not a librarian. I have no idea about how to do this. But a group of volunteers arrived, and they put these libraries together, and it was an awesome project ever since. And it still gives me so much pleasure.
Unbelievable. What a beautiful story. It's like, so he was a prophet, this person.
He was a prophet, and it was like, wow, this is why it's kind of mystical.
Yes, mystical, absolutely. And what has been the vision ever since that moment for you, for this project?
Well, I mean, I think that, this project has it takes a lot of energy also, because you need to create the atmosphere correctly for the book. Some countries, for example, when I was in Senegal, I don't have a library in Senegal, but we send books to Senegal. And we need to take care of the religion, for example, because they are Muslims, so some books that were not accepted. So we have to be careful about what kind of books we selected. Other cultures, they are very open and they want all kind of books. My favorite library, honestly, is the one in Kenya, which I just come from. And it's because it's not only for the kids, it's also for the community. The community is using this library. So many women come and they have meetings in the library. And that's what I like, that the library becomes a place of ideas, a little bit like just inspired by Alexandria model, right? That people could come and just develop different ideas, a laboratory of ideas. And this is kind of what is happening in Kenya, even though there is a very small one. Zimbabwe is also one of the libraries that really work very well. And we find out that when the library is installed close to a school or within the school, it's so much better, because the children don't have to move long distance to come.
Exactly.
And the biggest challenge was electricity, because during the day it's great. We have a huge amount of sunlight, but what happened in the night? I have seen so many children go to even the lobbies of hotels because they have exams the next day. They have no electricity at home. So this is the reason why we join forces with some of the solar panel people in order to have access to electricity, because a lot of kids use the library after 6, 7 o'clock when the sun goes down.
Yes, I wanted to ask you, but thank you for mentioning it. I would have mentioned the solar panel electricity project that you now started as well, which is obviously comes from one thing to leads to another, and this is incredible. You now have presence in so many different parts of African continent. Do you need to work with officials, with the governmental bodies to give you support?
Not always. Actually, we work very privately, but I think in some communities, you need to really, for example, in Ghana, without the chief of Kokofu, which is not an official government, but it's like a moral figure and a spiritual figure inside, because before colonization, Africa had a different administration, and there is kingdoms and there is families, noble families and everything. So we take care of that, particularly in the rural areas, because there's still, this applies to them. So we're always careful with that. And in some places, like for example, in Zimbabwe, the ministry was super helpful. They help us even to contribute to the transportation of the books, to go to the schools. It depends on the country, but we had a great relationship with them, and they realized that we come in there to add value to what already they have. Wonderful. So they're extremely helpful. Yeah.
And you've done, in this couple of years, basically, just in a few years, you've done this incredible job with such a strong impact. What are your goals for the future for this project?
Well, I will put an immediate goal that is to finish Senegal, because before the COVID-19 pandemic, we had the idea to start a project in Senegal, and then we have to stop everything. And because I have this level of commitment with the people in Senegal, and this will be our first library in French language. And this is one thing that we really wanted to do. And yes, we would like to be all of our parts of Africa. But we really work most in the rural areas, but it's a very difficult accessibility to books. And this will be our goal, to just be able one day to cover the whole continent.
Wonderful. Well, you obviously have a huge passion with and fascination with libraries. I too, I need libraries and bookstores. Anywhere I go and I travel, I always make a point to go to the bookstore or to the library. And one of my most favorite libraries is actually in Porto, in Portugal, and in Lisbon as well. There is an old library as well, and I can spend hours there. It just has this incredible energy around this whole place, and I just love to breathe this all around me and just inhale. What is your favorite library?
Well, I love the one in Buenos Aires. It's incredible. And they have also a bookstore that is a dream come true. And of course, the library, the New York Library, is incredible.
Oh, yes, of course.
Of course. I mean, it's amazing in Bryant Park. So I think this too, it's a model for me of what is the beauty of in being a library and being in a beautiful building inside. So yeah. And of course, my library is also, the library in Kenya is also one of my favorites, because it's in the middle of the savannah and you could see the giraffes and the zebras.
Oh my God.
Just passing by. So that's also great.
Wonderful. What kind of books do you like to read?
Well, I read all kind of books. I mean, I'm very open when it comes to knowledge, because it depends also on what part of my vital moment I am. But of course, personal development books I love. I love novels. I love history and philosophy.
Oh. As I said, this is the essence of everything else, I think, for sure. Can you please tell us about the ways you fundraise and how your organization actually works in moving this project forward in the fundraising, and whether the pandemic has had an impact on your activities and it made this process perhaps more challenging?
Well, fundraising never has been the core of BBLP project. I remember that one thing I learned in America and in New York in particular is the goodness of giving. I remember going to all these gala dinners where we buy tickets for $2,000 or $5,000 at tables.
Yes.
And when I was in the Chamber of Commerce, we do a gala dinner and people pay $50,000 for a table to invite their clients. And I realized what is fundraising, because I was fundraising for that. But the foundation was for me, like the way for me to donate to my own self, to my own project itself, and know where this money goes. Because I realized that if I go to a dinner and I just buy a ticket, I have no idea what is the money allocated for. And in this case, this was much for me a personal project. And some years has been very challenging because from the benefits of my company, I have no possibility to donate anything. And sometimes I have to put the books in my luggage and take them myself because I have no money for the transportation. So fundraising never has been at the core, but all I could say is that media has been amazing to just spreading the word about the project. And sometimes people out of the blue for my birthday or at some point, they just give us a check, and this has been used mostly for transportation. Right now, we are in the middle of a campaign for Kenya because we're looking for books in Swahili language, because most of the books that we have is in English or French or Spanish. But the teachers told me children really need books in Swahili and we don't have it. So please focus on that right now. And also we want to give visibility also to authors that they speak, that they write in their own language. This is also one of the things that we wanted to do with BBLP. So now we are concentrated on that, and we're asking people that it doesn't matter if it's $5, $10, $20, it doesn't matter, it adds value to it. And in any case, we're gonna do it no matter what, because I am like a turtle. I go and at some point we will do it. But if someone wants to help us, it's wonderful. And this is the reason why fundraising is not at the core. We never put the organization to just make big events. For example, we did a fashion event one time.
Yes, I wanted to ask you about that fashion event, actually, yes.
But we asked people that the ticket to attend this global event, it was a global fashion event, was to bring a book, because that is exactly what we want. We did a fundraising of books in Spain for Equatorial Guinea 1 month ago. Yes, this summer, and it was 28,000 books. We got 28,000 books from the universities of the whole Spain that they go to the University of Equatorial Guinea. So this is for me the fundraising, books.
That's fantastic. You know, I've been involved in fundraising, especially for the educational cause, especially actually for the cultural education causes. And I do it for the Children's Education Fund for the local center, Singapore Repertory Center. And I think it's so humbling in terms of experience, in terms of finding different ways how to help to bring the cultural education and in your case it's of course literacy to the growing up generation, especially because that's what makes a difference in the world at the end of the day. So it's amazing. And of course you did mention the solar power project in Africa, and yes, if you would have not been involved, and in general it would have been very, very difficult to read the books at night. So this is amazing. Yet another initiative. Kudos to you. Fabulous.
Yeah, well, this I cannot give myself credit for that. It was my partners in Kenya, AdCam project. That is a project that I'm very deeply involved with since 10 years. And it was Rosa Escandel, who is the president of AdCam, who said, you know what, we need these solar panels. And she kind of put together a project, and one of the companies in Spain called Inditex, which is Zara, as you know, Zara.
Yes, of course.
They were, there is a part of this company called Tempe that they also produce all the leather goods for Zara, and this company is the one who donates the solar panels. So thanks to that, we have electricity there, and the children could read at night.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for sharing, and I'm sure after our conversations, and I will make sure that I promote this incredible organization as well among my friends. And now I would love to move to traditions. In general, I'm always very curious about cultural differences that give birth to unique traditions, and I feel that there are many traditions that are very similar in the same way they're so different from culture to culture. And this unite us from just people from all over the world. Actually, I'm coming soon with my second book, and that will be part of my book to talk about history and traditions. What are the most unusual traditions that you know about that kept through the generations of your family, of your bringing, that you would like to share with us?
Well, it's interesting because the relationship with death in my country is completely different with the relationship in the Western world. When my grandmother died, I went to her funeral, and it shocked me because, of course, I was very sad because I was very close to her. And when I arrived there, and there was a tradition that all the women from the family and her cousins and everything have to prepare the body. And when I arrived to the tanatory, I was devastated. And when I saw the body, I started crying. And suddenly somebody slapped me in the face. One of my grandmother's cousins. And I was like super confused after so many hours flying. And then boom, she slapped me and she said, "Why are you crying? This is not, you have to celebrate her life." She was past 80. And also she has she has 7 kids and more than 25 grandchildren. It's a blessing. And we celebrate her life. Don't come here and cry. So this was the first thing. And then the tradition was that she was buried with her wedding dress, with all kind of things. And I remember when they were putting her underwear, they said, "Well, when you find your husband in the other side, he will be so excited."
It has to be La Perla.
So all that really was interesting. And then we spent 1 week in a huge party. And the men go to hunt and the women go to fish. And everything that comes, it has to be eaten in 1 week. And they bring a huge amount of meat, huge amount of fish, and cooking all day and party. And for me, that was, wow, this is a celebration, right? So traditionally, it's a different way to see what is life about, right? And it really shocked me, but at the same time, I love it, the way that we see it, because it was true. And even when we were going to the cemetery, they put the casket in the head and they start dancing with the casket, and all the children and the youngest people of the family have to carry it and they go dancing. So we were walking through the streets dancing until we get there, and we put her next to my grandfather, and that was the ceremony. So I found that it was beautiful, and of course I stopped crying and I celebrated.
This is fantastic. I think it's so fascinating, but it just gives this, just the positivity to you, first of all, to everyone, and the people around. I love the story. It's beautiful. Bisila, if you are to ask, to say a few words about your heritage and culture, how would you describe it? What would you say?
I would say that it's very rich, very ancient. It is said that we coming from the lost tribes of Egypt. I don't know, but this is what it says, and that we crossed the whole continent. And we have very deep traditions. And actually, I love the way that we see the spiritual world, because our divinity is feminine and masculine. So we don't have this problem with femininity and masculine, because for us, it has to be a balance between both energies. And the fact that Bisila actually means the mother of God, and at the same time is the wife of God. She has the two aspects, being a mother and being a wife. And the mythology, we have a huge amount of mythology, and everything for us has life. A tree has life, the sea has life, the river has life. So whenever we gonna do something, we ask permission. They will never cut a tree without asking permission to the spirit of this tree. Or when a booby person going to the sea asks permission if it's okay to go into the sea. So that, I think, is a beautiful tradition, and it's very rich and very deep. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. It's really, really very, very beautiful. And of course, I would absolutely love to hear about the link and traditions in your culture for the food. And that actually, because I'm a foodie and I love to talk and learn more about the different cuisines. But that brings me, of course, to an amazing project that you've launched, Bisila Wines, in 2010. What prompted you? And it got the international recognition, and the wine is made in Spain, and it's certainly a very happy project. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, well, this was our first entrepreneurship venture with my brother. And it's interesting because he wanted to start this business, and he said, why we don't call this wine Bisila wines? And it has to be a little bit a wine that is elegant, at the same time it's not ethnic, but it's also global. And the reason why is because when you travel to Africa, the wines that nobody wants to drink in Europe is the wines that sometimes they sell to people there. And we wanted to create a wine that is possible to be drinkable, that is nice, and that's how the whole idea came. And we find a winery that they wanted to partner with us, and they loved the project, and we started. And now it's been 11 years, and we are still in the business. We sell mostly in China. China is one of the biggest markets that we
Really?
have, because when we started, I remember when we launched the wines, it was a big party in Madrid, and a lot of people were thinking, what are these guys are thinking about? I mean, there's so much wine in Spain. We're in the middle of a economic crisis, because it was in 2010, 9, when, I mean, Spain was in a very big trouble with the crisis and everything. And everybody was thinking, are these people okay? Why did we start creating wines? Spain is overflown of wines. But we always have this idea of going global. And I think that a lot of people, when they start business, they think in local, but we started to think global. And it is the reason why we went to China the first place, because my brother, one of my other brothers, were living there. And we used this opportunity that he speaks perfect Chinese to open this market. And then we are a little bit in West Africa, and of course in Spain. And for some reason, people loved our wedding, the wine wedding. So every week I get someone in the wedding just toasting. And because I'm a romantic, I love that they use our wine in their weddings.
That's beautiful. We should bring it to Singapore.
I would love to. I mean, this would be an amazing thing, because I'm in love with Singapore.
Beautiful, yes. And I know that you visited Singapore, I believe, in 2013. And I will ask you a bit later about this visit a little bit, and I hope that you'll come back. But definitely, we will take it offline, as they say, and we'll discuss with you this project. We definitely should bring this wines to Singapore. Are you have you learned a lot about wines since you started this project? Are you the wines and another?
I know a little bit about wines because I was in charge of promoting wines from Valencia when I was working in IBEX. So I went to all the wine country in California, and I learned a lot about wines, and it was a beautiful experience. And also because we wanted to do a business, like you said, happy business.
Yes.
A business that join people around a table, good food, good wines. And we always want to be connected with things that make people happy. And this is the reason why we did that. And we learned by doing. I could tell you that we almost ruined ourselves. We lost so much money and we were bankrupt. And we have to ask for help. Sometimes you need to form strategic partnerships when you are in business. And this is how we save ourselves. And now we are in a place that, okay, we're breaking even. But we went through challenges because I had no idea about what it was to be in business. And that's how you learn.
And, you know, you're a businesswoman and you're extraordinary. Your diverse interests and passions have given birth to completely different businesses, and you have been, besides just a few parts of it that we just spoke about and your different projects, you are also a motivational speaker with speaking engagements all over the world. And just for everyone to know, Bisila has been represented by the Washington Speakers Bureau, along with the likes of former US President and French President, and just to name a few, I believe Nicolas Sarkozy and President George W. Bush, right, before that. And what are your main topics that you discuss, you talk about, and what kind of audience do you capture?
Well, at the beginning, when I started to be a speaker, a lot of people asked me how to do business overseas, how to go from local to global. So this was one of the areas of expertise because, of course, in international relations and international business, I was working for so long. Right now, it's almost 22 years in the field. So that's the reason why a lot of people ask me to speak about that. Women leadership and empowerment of women. This was also... So it's still some of the topics that still people ask me. And lately, diversity and inclusion and culture has been one of the main topics. And I will say that the last 3 years, most of the time, people either want to know about my experience. A lot of people is interested in that I share my own experience with them. And also I speak about empathy. I mean, what is to be an empathic leader? The way that I perceive leadership of the 21st century is with a leader that is inclusive and a leader that is empathic. And that's another field that I touch.
Beautiful. And what on you yourself, what are some challenges, in your opinion, that women face these days in business specifically, and what are the some challenges you as a female immigrant woman of color face as an entrepreneur?
Well, there is many walls that you need to jump when you're a woman in business, and of course Black. But I will say that the first one is the one that you have within yourself, your limited beliefs. Because a lot of us, we believe we couldn't make it, we couldn't do it. And this is the first barrier that you need to cross. And it takes sometimes other woman or other person to tell you you could do it. Because sometimes that doesn't come from us. I mean, I don't know too many women that they say, oh, I'm going to be president of this country tomorrow, right? It's very rare to see that. Sometimes it's because people tell you, oh, you have the capability to do this. Why you don't do it? And then is when you start thinking, and we need this support system. So I think that since we are little girls, it's very important to motivate girls to understand that it's possible and it's doable to do everything that you could do. Yes. And that you have to think big. But I think that this is the first barrier. I also understand that the limited beliefs of other people, I could not take care of them. If someone has a problem because I'm a woman or I'm Black, this is not my issue. So I don't make other people's issues my issues. I think that, you know, a lot of people, we might have a problem in corporations or in different aspects in the industries or governments. And I know that it's difficult. But I think that you have to have a very strong mindset and understand that it depends more on you than the others. If you give the power to others to determine what can you do or you cannot do, you are losing the game.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. But do you think that some of the problems are diminishing nowadays? Do you basically see the light at the end of the tunnel? That,
I see totally the light and yes, I'm definitely an optimistic.
Right.
And I believe that if you are positive, if you think positive, and all of us, we join forces. And every day there is more people who, thanks to technology, thanks that we could have this conversation, you and I, exactly. And we have brains that and mindset that they work together. We already changing something. Yes. Because here we are, two women who we accomplished something in life and we join forces to just bring visibility to each other. And I think this is exactly the point, is storytelling. We need to tell our stories to really change that other people start getting reference points and people get inspired by others. Yes. So I think that definitely there is light at the end of the tunnel. And I believe that it's the 21st century is a great century for us. It's going to be amazing.
That's beautiful, because yes, I feel that, you know, authenticity and being surrounded by the like-minded people and, you know, like-minded women in the instance, I think it really gives a power of not only for our emotions, but it pushes our emotions to move forward and find solutions and just think positive, and it's wonderful. I absolutely believe in it. What are your personal values that are ingrained into your entrepreneurial journey?
For me, it's loyalty and honesty. I think this is the main thing, because the same people that you see in your way up, you see in your way down. And so many times we fell out of the ladder of success, and sometimes you are in a great moments and you are in a bad moments. But I do believe that when you are honest and when you are loyal to the people who are surrounded by you, it doesn't matter how low you fell, people will be there to pick up your pieces and build you up again. So I think that this is important to have this in business, because businesses go up and down.
Yes, absolutely. That's why you and me connected, because the energy is absolutely the same. And I think about it and talk about the same things all the time. I think it's extremely valuable what you said, and thank you for that. You've met so many incredible people, and you've had so many different encounters with leaders, visionaries, and decision makers. What stands out? Who stands out, I should say, among these people? Can you share with us a fascinating anecdote, a story about someone that really has been impactful in your life?
I mean, from my perspective, one of the person that really shocked me and really has a huge influence in my life, and I really deeply admire, is the president of Inditex and the owner of Zara. And the reason why is because the level of humanity that he has. And I remember when I just met him once in a lunch, a private lunch. But before I met him, I met someone from his team in New York. He was the representative for Zara in the United States. And I remember that I was so curious to know about his boss. And I asked him, how is him? I mean, how is his personality? Is he a nice person? And he told me, if I didn't have a father, I would love him to be my father. And for me, that was all. And when I met him, I confirmed that this was exactly the kind of man who everybody wants to have like a father. He cared about others. And this is an empathic leader. So this will be probably one of the persons that leaders, this is one of the biggest corporations in the world, but he still has this sense of humanity and he cares about his people. He's extremely humble. And I think this is something that really touched me. So some of the biggest leaders I ever met, they have in common that they love themselves, they're very self-confident, and they believe that they never give up. But also the best of them are the ones who are very humble.
Yes, I think this is incredible quality. I believe that probably unites most of the important leaders and visionaries in this world, and this is great. I'm so happy you're obviously a part of this community. And even you and me, we have incredibly like-minded, like us, mutual friends, like Steven Chalmers with the One Way Ticket Show, and Prince Dimitri, who is adorable, and I had him on my conversations as well. And I always believe that you tell me who your friend is, and I tell you who you are.
This Absolutely, is I do believe in that.
My childhood from my mom. So yes, and this is exactly what it is. Just a few questions, just sort of easy questions before we say goodbye to you and to all our wonderful audience tonight. What did it feel for you to be in the cover of Vogue magazine? How did it feel? You didn't expect that question.
You know what? It was like a dream come true because I always was passionate about fashion. And back in 2007, I remember that I started working very closely with fashion companies, and Vogue, of course, is the Bible of fashion for a lot of people. And I always was like, this little belief that is inside of us, or I wish one day I was in this magazine. But it didn't even apply to me to think about it, because when I thought about it, I was over 200 pounds, overweight, very far from being in fashion. But it crossed my mind at some point because I was in a party and seeing all this, and I met all these amazing designers, and I think I lived a beautiful time in New York when fashion was incredible, glamorous, and all these shows. And I think that years after, this wish that was really deep, but I could not even verbalize it, when it crossed your mind, but you are even scared to even verbalize it.
Yes.
And then Vogue wrote me, and they said they wanted to do an interview. So I was not aware that I would be in the cover. It was never the idea. But when I did this photo shoot, and I was not feeling my best because actually with the pandemic, I was at home overeating, cooking a lot of African and Spanish food and everything. So I was not feeling my best. And then I said, okay, let's do it. I mean, how many times this happened in your lifetime? And I had a great time because I changed my attitude. I said, listen, instead of being so worried about how I look, why I don't have fun? This is
enjoy
the opportunity.
It. Exactly.
And I enjoy it. And it's exactly what the pictures show. And I have the most amazing photographer. It's just incredible. And then everything went fine. And 24 hours before the magazine was coming out, they told me, by the way, the editors have decided they would put you in the cover because they love the pictures. So this was incredible. It was a dream come true, and I felt really amazing with the experience.
Well, you looked ravishing. You are stunning. What is your personal style, Bisila?
I mean, I have my own style. I like to mix everything, and I don't have a particular fashion style because I love to mix different things. Sometimes I feel like to dress African. Sometimes I feel like I love Spanish designers and wear them a lot. And I love American designers. So I just make a mix of it, but I love color. I think this is one of the things that I really love is color, to make statements. When I came to New York, everybody was in the office dressing in black.
Wearing black. New
very
York,
black or
everybody's very
blue,
black.
dark blue.
Yeah,
And then I said, no, I need to bring some color. It's winter. Why I will dress in black when it's snowing outside? Let me just put yellow or red or nice color. So that's, I think that it's the statement that I want to do with fashion is, how do I feel? And I think for women, it's good to feel good about how we dress ourselves,
yes,
how we look, because we are so critical, self-critical with ourselves
yes,
that
yes.
sometimes we lost the fun of just taking care of yourself, right?
Absolutely. Yes, and we have to do it for our own selves. I strongly believe that we really don't need to impress anyone. We just need to, as you said, be confident and comfortable with our own selves, and that really, really helps. Um, where would you like to travel? What would be your favorite travel destination? And
Well,
I know COVID is now a little bit sort of changes everybody's dreams and perceptions about travel, but nevertheless,
well, even though there is a lot of difficulties traveling, I still travel because I
yes,
love it.
yes,
I love Europe. All of Europe, I believe that is wonderful. Africa is absolutely the place that I love to be. I mean, Kenya, Ghana, Zimbabwe,
yes.
Ethiopia, every country I love. But there is countries that I haven't been yet that I want to visit, but I need the amount of time that I need to see. And one is Israel. I would love to go to
Yes, well,
Israel.
I will come with you. I'm going to be your companion.
Beautiful,
Oh,
because I am fascinated by all the culture.
yes,
And of course, Egypt will be also another destination, in India. These two
yes,
destinations is kind of like keeping them because I need like a month to really
yes.
stay there and really understand the culture and enjoying it. So these would be three destinations that I would love to travel the next few
Oh,
years.
fabulous. And I know that, as I mentioned, you have been to Singapore before, and maybe,
Yes.
and I hope you liked it, and I hope that besides this amazing food that we have here, and people, you like the whole country in general, and I hope you will be back. What was the reason that you came to Singapore?
It's very interesting because Susie Menkes was organizing the luxury conference in Singapore on her birthday.
Still, I was there.
Oh my God. So I was
Yes, I
there.
was
That was the reason
attended.
why I
Oh
was
my God, I wish we would have met then,
in the
but it
aquarium.
was
You remember
meant to
the
be.
party in the aquarium? It
Yes,
was
of course,
beautiful
I
that
was there and I
night.
was next to Susie. Yes,
Yes. So
for
that's
summer
what
vacation.
brought me there. And I
I,
spent a week, and it was incredible because the architecture, the food, everything was incredible. So this was the reason why I was in Singapore, and I wish I'd come back again.
you are coming back. We already spoke about it, so you definitely you are. So that's non-negotiable. You're definitely coming
I'm
back.
coming back. Now I have a big reason to come back.
Absolutely, absolutely. You're staying with me and you're definitely coming back, so for sure. Well, Priscilla, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And I know that you have another meeting and we have just 2 minutes for me to say
Yes.
thank you again and again, and to thank to everyone who listened to us today, tonight, this morning, this afternoon in Europe. And this episode, of course, will be recorded, and I will post it on my IGTV at Events by Olga under the Conversations with Olga. I will also post it on the YouTube channel under the Conversation with Olga as well. So please listen, please share it, please support Bisila's incredible initiatives and support the literacy, support the education, and keep safe. And thank you so much, darling Bisila, for
Thank you,
everything.
Olga. I will see you offline, and I will
Yes,
be very
I will
soon
be
with you in
offline.
Singapore. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Have
Thank
a
you.
great day, and thank you all of you for your attention. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for your
you.
love. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao. Bye.